Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. This is your homegirl, Arabia Barbosa. Hold on. Gotta hold on, you guys. Yeah. This is your homegirl, Arabia Barbosa. I was just making sure I had my Bluetooth off. Because with that Bluetooth being on here, you guys can't hear me. So shout out to the chat. It's a little after 4 o'clock in the morning. It's a little after 4 o'clock in the morning. This is your homegirl, Arabia Barbosa. 914 Westchester County, New York, the BT 1000, a.k.a. the Jeeper Creeper on this shit, a.k.a. Lucy the Vampire, a.k.a. the German Shepherd in the goddamn room. And I don't know if anyone read the title of this video. But the title of this video is Michelle Blair, the Freezer mom. The Detroit, Michigan woman that killed 2 of her children and buried them in a deep freezer. No one knew that she did this terrible thing until those bodies were discovered because she was being evicted from her apartment. She was being evicted from her apartment. But this woman, Michelle Blair, she killed one of her sons, the son named Stephen. She killed one of her daughters. The daughter's name is Stoney. And she said that she killed them because they were having sexual relations or they were sexually abusing their younger sibling. But to find out that was not fucking true. That was a story, that was a cover story she made up when she went in front of the proper authorities, members of the media. And the only reason why I know that the story... Good morning. Good morning, Donna. Shout out to you. I know it's early. My eyes are still a little blurry, but I'm able to see the screen a little bit. But thank you for coming in. Good morning. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers, but the story was brought to the public's attention in 2015. And the only reason why I remember the story is because Tommy Sotomayor brought it to the YouTube streets. No one else was reporting on this story. No one else said anything about this story. Not Tanya TKO, not Cynthia G, not any of the women at that time that was on the YouTube streets. There is a show, a televised show that comes on the air now, and it's called Evil Lives Here. Evil Lives Here. And they was talking about the Michelle Blair case because they was talking to her oldest daughter, Gaby. They was talking to her oldest daughter, one of the survivors of this terrible tragedy. And she was talking about what the mother did, how these murders took place, why the mother hid them in the deep freezer in her house, in her home. I would feel mighty funny, mighty strange if I kill someone and I leave them here in this apartment. No way in the world would I feel comfortable doing some bullshit like that. But the woman, she had no qualms doing that. She didn't take none of those children that she killed, that she murdered, out of that house. She didn't take them anywhere. She didn't bury them anywhere. She put them in a deep freezer. And from what the oldest daughter described is that Stoney, her sister, was not yet dead yet when she was placed in the deep freezer. The mother tortured her. That was the last victim. The mother tortured this child. The mother beat this child. The mother starved this child. She did not feed this child. She did not kill her, but she put her in the freezer, and the freezer did the rest. And the daughter, Gaby, as she was telling her story, she said that only thing she felt living in that house for 2 years with this woman, she felt frightened. She felt at any minute the mother would explode again and kill either her or the younger child, the younger sibling. Shout out to the chat. And I find it very interesting that no one on the YouTube streets brought this to YouTube but Tommy Sotomayor. Later on, the story came to the YouTubes because of members of the media. But I'm kind of surprised that none of the women that were on YouTube at that time reported on this story. We got women in this sector right now who do history content, current events content. This particular TV series that's on the airwaves, it's called Evil Lives Here. I'm surprised no one in the sector is covering it. I'm very surprised. I'm very shocked. But I guess everyone is too worried. They're too preoccupied with the bullshit that's going on in the sector on this platform. They would rather talk about their neighbor and try to dox their neighbor, strangers on the YouTubes, instead of reporting about current events. Because believe it or not, this young woman that described what her mother did to the very last detail, I know that she went through therapy. I know they made sure that she and the younger sibling was being taken care of, but nobody knows what's going to happen down the road. I'm not saying that she would do a repeat of what her mother did to her and her siblings, but I'm just saying that the system has a funny way of letting the whole world know we got a red mark by your name. Regardless or whether your mother did this terrible crime, we are also looking at you. We are following you. We're going to make sure that if you ever have children, our eyes will be on you. Trust me, even though this young woman did not commit any crimes or hasn't done anything wrong, in the eyes of the law right now, people are watching her. People are going to be watching the daughter of Michelle Blair. They're going to be watching, because whatever the sins of the mother is, it could easily fall back on the daughter. And I don't hear no one in this sector talking about this. I don't hear none of the champions of women and mothers talking about this. I don't hear not one woman. I don't even hear any of the so-called leaderships of women on this platform talking about this particular story. You know why they're not covering the story? Because they got this thing, and especially if you're Black, they got this thing is whatever happened in that house needs to stay in that house. In other words, they don't want to make Black women look bad, but Black women are looking bad regardless. Shout out to the chat. Tommy Sotomayor brought this story to the YouTube airwaves in 2015. I don't remember Tanya TKO covering it. I don't remember Cynthia G covering it. I don't remember any of the ancient YouTube female creators covering this story. Not one said a goddamn thing. Not one opened their mouths about this story. Why didn't they want to report on the story? People have criticized Tommy in the past. They say he talks bad about Black women. He puts down Black women. I remember him bringing out this story. Because believe it or not, there is two witnesses to this terrible crimes that the woman did, that this woman committed. Her name is Michelle Blair. She's serving life sentence in a Detroit, Michigan state penitentiary right now. But that doesn't say how the daughter is doing or how the daughter feels about it. Because as the daughter was describing what was going on or what had happened in that house, I could tell that she was trying to stay detached, but she couldn't stay detached. She became emotional. She cried. She had shed some tears. And I seen this woman, very nice young lady, but she looks just like the mother. And I know the child welfare system is going to follow this woman all the way to her fucking grave. You know why? Because they're going to be looking at the fact that she's in childbearing age. She can have children. She can go out there and find someone and get pregnant with children, even though she went through the necessary steps to get therapy, to address whatever issues she had with therapists and social workers and psychiatrists and psychologists and everyone that was there to help after the mother was discovered. But can you really dig deep into someone's psyche? I'm not saying that this young woman is guilty of anything. I'm just saying she's carrying something with her that will never, ever leave. I don't care if the mother is in prison for 100 years, 200 years, 10 life sentences. I don't care how long the mother is going to be there. This woman lives with what her mother did. She was a witness. She was a witness to these terrible crimes. And you know why a lot of people are not talking about it? Because then they would have to talk about the fact that there's a lot of Black parents out there that uses corporal punishment to discipline their children. Black children are 10 times more as likely to be beaten by their caretakers. It's like something that lives in our DNA to try to destroy our children. Some people say, well, Arabia, it's necessary to discipline the children. Arabia, it's necessary to punish the children if they do something wrong. You can put them on punishment, but is it necessary to hit your child? Is it necessary to hit a child with a belt, with an extension cord, with an ironing cord, with any type of footwear, with sticks, switches? If it's not your hand, it shouldn't be used. And in the Black community, for us Black people, we have a terrible habit of doing this to our children, victimizing our own seeds. And no one seems to see anything wrong with it. That's why they're not talking about this case. Because a lot of people secretly agree with Michelle Blair in the action she took. Because if they don't agree, why they're not saying anything? Where are their voices now? Where are their voices now? We don't need people to start gossiping about each other. That is not content. If the person didn't dox you, there's absolutely no reason why you should be gossiping about another YouTube creator, about a stranger. If I'm gonna put it like this, if they're not stalking you, because we got some stalkers in this sector, if they're not stalking you or doxing you, you shouldn't be gossiping about another YouTube creator. That's my opinion. Because if they're doing these two things are actually considered crimes, and these two things are going against YouTube community guidelines, which is dealing with cyber stalking and doxing people. Those things are going against the YouTube community guidelines. And it should only be done if someone actually did something to you, like if they doxed you or if they're cyberbullying or cyber stalking you. That's the only reason why anyone should be gossiping about another human being on this app. And we got a lot of people in the sector who visit discords. And I keep telling people, I keep warning people, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I believe all discords are terrible and they shouldn't be happening. People say, well, that's a good way to, socialize and get information and build your channel. No, it's not. Why you can't do that on your own platform? Or why you can't do that if you hit someone else's link? Why do you have to go into a stupid ass Discord? That's stupid. And that's one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to waste time going into a goddamn Discord. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not. Because there's nothing but trouble in these fucking internet Discords. And that is my opinion. Yo, what's up, Thick Cut? What's up, highly favored? Shout out to the chat. Yeah, but I was wondering why no one was covering this story. I saw one of the episodes air last night, and they were talking about the Michelle Blair case. Thick Cut, you was a part of Soda Nation at one time, wasn't you? So you remember when Tommy brought that story to the airwaves of the YouTubes back in 2015. Thick Cut, I'm not trying to put you on blast or nothing like that, but do you remember any of the women YouTube creators at that time covering the Michelle Blair story? Do you remember any of them saying anything about the Freezer mom? Good morning, Tamika. He hasn't Thick Cut hasn't answered any of my questions. So I'm going to assume that I'm right. That Tommy Sotomayor was the only one on the YouTubes as a YouTube creator back in 2015 who actually did the story covering Michelle Blair, aka the Freezing Mom, the Detroit, Michigan woman that had the nerve to kill two of her children and put them in a deep freezer and kept them there for 2 years. And they would have been there longer if she would have never been evicted from her place of residence. Good morning, Tamika. Good morning, Holly Favored. Good morning, Thick Cut. Good morning to Donna. Good morning, everyone that's in my chat. I know it's early in the morning, but I just couldn't let it go. Cause I remember doing our short clip about Michelle Blair and her crimes. And the fact that the state that she comes from, they gave her, I believe, 2 death sentences. I'm not exactly sure. She got to spend the rest of her life, not death sentences. They sentenced her to life in prison. She is now living amongst the general population in the penitentiary that she's at, but I don't believe that she should be living amongst other people. I think they need to put her back in the SHU program and let her rot there. Feed her one time a day, let her out the shower 3 times a week, and let her go out on rec 1 hour a day. This woman doesn't deserve to be in general population. What is it going to help society that she's in general population? Living amongst other women. Now I know that there are other women that are probably in prison for murder charges, but this case is particularly different. It's very different. This woman killed her 2 children, left them in a freezer for 2 fucking years. And as the oldest daughter described it, during that time period, before any of this was discovered, the mother kept threatening to kill the last 2. And I'm so surprised that none of the women in this sector have reported on this story. None of the women in this sector has said anything about this story. It's like they don't want to touch it. They don't want to touch it. You'll have some of these racist motherfuckers, these racist pieces of shit bring up this story only to condemn Black people. We don't need to be condemned, but there are certain things that need to be discussed. And we need to talk about family relationships, how sometimes it's dysfunctional, and we need to talk about child abuse because people seem to think, especially people in our community, that beating a child with a fucking extension cord is corporal punishment. No, it's child abuse. And I don't give a fuck what nobody say. All the bullshit we've been through as a people, and I'm talking about slavery, I'm talking about Jim Crow, where them pieces of shit, racist people were terrorizing Black people, whipping Black people. Black people were being whipped, tied up to a fucking tree, stripped out of their fucking clothing, and whipped. And that's the same thing a lot of Black parents and grandparents and caretakers are doing to these next generation of parents and adults. That's what they're doing. And they call it discipline. It's not discipline. It's fucking child abuse. And that's one of the things Tommy did discuss when he was on these YouTube streets. People seem to get it twisted, talking about he was talking bad about Black women. He was talking bad about the hair weaves. Tell the goddamn truth. The man was talking more than just that. And he was bringing stories like the one I'm discussing, the one that's in my title, to these YouTube streets, while other YouTube creators said nothing, and especially the women. Good morning, Foxy Brown. I'm glad that people are themselves in the chat, but I wonder if anyone heard what I said. Did anyone at least hear what the fuck I said? And yesterday, as I was looking at these YouTube streets for a little while, I saw that Iceberg Thoughts went live. went live. He had a live video, and everyone kind of like thinks that Iceberg and Thaddeus are two very boring content creators, which they are. It seems like, and I've never seen Iceberg do this before. I've never seen him drop his link and other people come up there and they don't even have discussions. They're screaming and hollering and cursing each other out. And that was, I know Iceberg got a lot of views on that chat, on that video. Shout out to Iceberg. He finally becoming just like everyone else. He's becoming another EJ. He's becoming another Sis. As far as that is concerned, Barbie Girl Tina does the same thing. Allows people to hit their link, and everyone can't seem to get along. Can't seem to get along, and can't seem to talk to each other with common sense, or if any of those people are adults. Shout out to the chat. Congratulations, Iceberg, for becoming just like everyone else. I guess he realized that he was a little boring. I guess I'm not criticizing Iceberg, but I know he boring. And I know he gotta know, if he know that he boring, that's why he had his channel popping like that yesterday. And that's probably the only time it has ever happened since I've known Iceberg. Since I've known Iceberg. He usually talks about sports, or he talks about certain things that's going on in this sector. But yesterday was the first time I've ever seen him actually open up his link like that. People come on the panel and just throw down. That was the first time I ever seen Iceberg do that. He must know what brings in the numbers. He must know what brings in the numbers. But I'm not up here to talk about Iceberg, because I don't got an issue with Iceberg. I just know that he knows enough about the YouTube politics, what's to do to bring in more of the numbers. Shout out to Iceberg. But I'm surprised that the show has been out for a while, and it's called This Is Where Evil Lives, or Where Evil Lives, and no one in this sector is covering it. It's mostly current events. It's mostly current events, and I seem to forget that a lot of people in this sector, they don't like current events, and they don't like mentioning anything that makes the Black community look terrible. I mean, Michelle Blair is only one woman. She's only one woman, but she's not the only one that goes around abusing her children, not feeding the children, and beating on the children, mistreating the children. We got a lot of Black women that do that shit, and nobody in the sector is discussing these things. They acting like this shit don't fucking happen. They acting like this shit don't fucking exist. It does exist. And I'm very surprised that no one in the sector is talking about it. Where's Queen Regina? Why she ain't talking about some shit like this? You know why Queen Regina ain't talking about no shit like this? Because Queen Regina want to come on the YouTube streets, pretend like she can fucking sing. She wearing them fucking costumes, looking like a clown. And I'm not shouting her out. She want to talk about everything else. She talks about current events. Why she ain't doing it? Huh? And she ain't the only one. This is a current event story. People should be covering it. They're not covering it. Why? We all know that Sister T is in another sector, but at least Sister T does do current events. She does talk about certain stories similar to the one I'm mentioning. Shout out to Sister T. But I don't hear no other woman in this sector talking about this. I don't hear none of the men talking about it. Where are all the social workers? Huh? Where's the psychiatrists? Where are the social workers? Where are the clinical therapists so they can break down what this young woman is saying about her mother? Break down her facial expression, break down her body language, break down how she says certain words. There's no one in the sector doing that, but they rather talk about another YouTube creator, a fucking stranger, talking about how much the person get the money, how much money they have, how much money they don't have, what kind of clothes they got on, if they had a camera slip or not, all kinds of bullshit. Tamika, I know you hear me, but we got other people in the chat, grown people, and they act like they don't fucking hear what I'm fucking saying. But they I guess because I'm not clowning like fucking so-called King Anthony, the mafia king over there, fucking EBT Beaver over there, or because I'm not doing what he's doing, that they're not paying attention. They don't have nothing to offer. They don't have nothing to say. You know what I mean? It's not all fun and games on this app all the fucking time. Sometimes some people need to be fucking serious. For real. And that's what's missing in this fucking sector. But no, they rather gossip about another YouTube creator. Now, just a few seconds ago, I said something about Iceberg, but this is not what this video is about. It's not about Iceberg. It's not about Queen Regina. It's not about Sister T. It's not about nobody in this fucking sector. But I'm just wondering, since people had so many criticisms against Tommy Sotomayor, why was he the only one that brought this story to the YouTube streets back in 2015? And I asked Thick Cut a fucking simple question, and he can't fucking answer it. I'm dead ass serious. We got 5 people in the building. Please hit the like button. At least do that. That's free. Dang, it's not even 5 o'clock in the morning. People can't seem to find the like button. Hit the like button. There's only 5 of y'all in the building. Nah, but I just find it very interesting. Yeah, they probably don't like what the fuck I'm talking about. Because I'm probably talking about them. Or I'm probably talking about one of their fucking relatives. Yeah, we got a fucking problem in the black community where black people are abusing their own fucking seeds. Yeah, we got an issue. And the shit needs to fucking stop. Because it's going on generation after generation after generation. Michelle Blair didn't just create herself. She didn't just wake up one morning and say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of my fucking kids. There had to be an avenue that she took, and the oldest daughter discussed it. And she used corporal punishment as her pathway to kill her own fucking kids. And that's what a lot of black people do. Hey, what's up, Simset? Yeah, I was just talking about, before you walked in, Simset, I don't know how long you've been here, but I've been just talking about the Michelle Blair case and how they have that new TV series. It's called Evil Lives Here. And her oldest daughter, who was a witness to the crimes that her mother committed, was on an episode where she discussed the case. She discussed what the mother did. The shit took place in Detroit, Michigan, one of the most filthiest places people could ever live in. The people don't even take care of their water situation up there. I remember in Flint, Michigan, not too long ago, they had an issue with their water system, the drinking water up there, not too long ago. It just seems like a lot of shit be taking place in certain places in America where a lot of black people congregate at, where a lot of black people live at, and certain shit is happening and nobody's fucking talking about it. And child abuse is one of those things. It's one of those issues. Nobody seems to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody thinks it's normal to hit a child with a fucking extension cord. When I think that's fucking disgusting. That is not corporal punishment. That is not spanking nobody. That is called child abuse. Yeah, but that's it. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I really wanted to do, was discuss this case and the fact that her oldest child name is Gaby. They call her Gaby. Okay. And Gaby seems like a very nice young lady. I know she's very young. As far as I know, Gaby hasn't had any gotten pregnant or had any kids yet. I'm just saying that certain things happen in certain families, and that they don't usually follow the young men around, but usually they will stalk the young women for years and years. Like, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. When I was placed in foster care years ago, okay, I have five. There's five of us. So there's three girls and two boys. And during our time of being in foster care, and even after adoptions went through and people moved and all this other stuff, the state of New York, the child welfare system, CPS, all that, was still stalking me and my two sisters. And we had red marks by our name. It's not because we did something wrong. It's not because we committed some type of crime. My mother, my biological mother, was guilty of child neglect. She was guilty of child abuse. She was guilty of not taking care of us. And that's why we went into the system. She surrendered us to the system. But in the aftermath of what she did, the system decided to follow, to stalk me and my other two sisters. Now, me, I never had children. I never got pregnant. I never had children. I never had to worry about none of that bullshit. They had to worry about that. And what I discovered from being around my two sisters, my two biological sisters, is whenever they got pregnant and whenever they went into the hospital to have their children, CPS was always around. They was always snooping around. They was always threatening to take custody of my sister's children. If my sisters did not have the support that they had at that time, they too would have been like my biological mother. The system finds reasons to destroy the Black family. That is all I'm saying. And we destroy ourselves by mistreating our seeds. Come on, man. Yo, what's up, Fatty? I'm just seeing you. Good morning. Thank you for coming in. I want to shout out to everyone. Shout out to everyone that's in my chat. Shout out to everyone that's in my chat. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, so that's what this video is about. If people can see the title of this video, it's Michelle Blair, the Freezer Mom. She's in the description. I'm talking about that woman. I'm talking about her sins. I'm talking about how she murdered two of her children and put them in a fucking deep freezer and had them there for 2 fucking years. And nobody can convince me that no one in that neighborhood or no one that was related to this woman didn't realize that those children were gone. You cannot convince me. Other people besides Michelle Blair is guilty of what happened to those kids. They're fucking guilty. No way in the world they didn't know what the fuck was going on in that house. They knew. They just didn't say nothing. And that's what's wrong with the Black community. You got all this let's not snitch policy. But sometimes if you report stuff at the right time, maybe you can stop a tragedy from happening. But that's not what Black people are all about. They want tragedy. They want destruction. That's what they want. Not all. Some. Not all. But I'm sorry to say it, the some outnumber the all. Because no way in the world nobody can convince me that what happened in Newport News 2011, August of that year, that nobody heard nothing. 4 people were being murdered in Newport News, Virginia, in an apartment complex, and nobody fucking heard nothing. It's a fucking lie. People heard what was going on. They didn't call 911. 911 wasn't called until the next day. And that a maintenance man was making his rounds, and he noticed that there was a dead little boy in a fucking apartment. And that dead little boy happened to be one of my nephews. And this happened back in 2011. We got a fucking judge running around. He just fucking retired, I believe, either last year or the year before. His name is Timothy S. Fisher. He's a coward fucking judge. Everyone that sat on that fucking jury get 2 scoops of fuck you. They all need to suck a bag of dicks for not handling the fucking case. Don't sit on a fucking jury if you can't handle a fucking case. If you're not going to make a decision. And I don't give a fuck what nobody say. John Moses Reagan is not supposed to be breathing. That nigga should be dead. Ain't nowhere in the world. You kill 4 motherfuckers and you sitting up in fucking prison talking about you walking through general population or whatever the case may be. This nigga need to be dead, unalived. Same thing with Michelle Blair. She shouldn't be walking around in general population. Shouldn't be. I don't know what's going on in these fucking state penitentiaries. It just seems like people are getting weak. Or they don't want to do the confrontations that they used to do back during the 60s, back during the 70s, back during the 80s, back during the 90s. Shout out to the chat. Yeah, that's the only thing I'm starting to see, how certain current event stories are not being reported. We got all these motherfuckers. I'm telling you, Sis Rabbit got a ranch. I'm gonna talk about him for 1 minute. He lives right here in New York. I have yet to hear that nigga say anything about the flooding situation that's happening in certain neighborhoods. He doesn't talk about that. But he loves to come on this shit talking about Garrett, talking about Biz 101, talking about Kwame Brown, and all this other bullshit. Gossip. He doesn't even report on nothing that happens in fucking New York. He lives in New York. People talk shit about Lonnie. Lonnie One Love, the Empress over there. But let me tell you something. When something happens in her community, she reports on it. She does current events. Moonlight, same thing. Moonlight might talk a little shit on her channels, but when Moonlight get ready to do it, Moonlight talks about current events. She talks about politics. See, we got a lot of women in this sector that are very intelligent, highly intelligent. But they get bullied sometimes. We got a lot of bullies, a lot of people that do all that bullshit trying to destroy these women. And I seen what they be doing. A lot of these beta males, they will sit, instead of talking about current events or what's going on in the neighborhood, they want to talk about the women on this platform. And I find that very disgusting. You want to talk about a woman, but you don't want to fuck a woman. You don't want to be in a relationship with a woman. You got motherfuckers on this app worrying about who the fuck is in my fucking DMs. Got a lot of nerve. That's why I'm glad that YouTube is changing up their policies about these monetized channels. A lot of motherfuckers ain't going to be monetized no more. You ain't going to be able to use other people's content to get paid no more. Shout out to the chat. You're going to have to do like the rest of us. Go out and get a real job. And I'm talking to some of the men in this fucking sector that depend on YouTube for a little bit of their lively living. Shout out to the chat. Because I don't hear none of the women talk. The way the men talk in this sector is disgusting. I don't never hear the women talk about shit like that. If a woman is monetized, I don't hear her talking like the way some of these men do. And people want to focus on Garrett and Biz 101, the Kwamites over there. but they got real shit happening in real time in the real world, and they rather talk about two men that ain't gonna do nothing for you. You might have got paid for talking about them in the past, but in a few more months, how you gonna get paid? Shout out to the chat. I'm just saying. Good morning, Mika. Good morning, Uncle L. I guess I gotta catch up to speed. This video is about the Michelle Blair case, the Freezer mom, and how one of the witnesses to all her crimes, which is one of her daughters, the oldest daughter, name is Gabby. She was discussing her mother's crimes and how she felt about it on this show called Evil Lives Here. And I was just saying how the system, even though this young lady has done nothing wrong, the system will be following this lady until she is no longer able to have children. They will stalk, harass, follow this lady around until she starts going into the thing called menopause. They want to make sure this young woman don't have any children. If she do have any children, they will be stalking her. And I'm talking about the welfare child system, the one that the particular branch that deals with foster care. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about child abuse and how nobody in the Black community talks about it. Nobody reports on it. And one of the things that Gaby did say, what led to her siblings being killed, is because the mother was using so-called corporal punishment. I don't think it's corporal punishment to hit a child an extension cord. That's not corporal punishment. That's not correcting no one. That's called fucking child abuse. And in the Black community, there is a thin line between corporal punishment and child abuse, and people don't talk about it. That's what this video is about. So I just wanted to catch Mika up on what I'm talking about. Shout out to Mika. She just came in the chat. And shout out to Uncle L. He just came in the chat. And I was just catching them up to speed as to what this video is about. And I'm remembering when the story first broke, when I first heard about it in 2015, this was a couple of years ago, how Tommy Sotomayor was the only one that reported about this woman. No other YouTube creator, no other man, and no other woman said anything about this case. And I was trying to figure out why it wasn't being discussed, why certain things ain't being discussed now. That's why I said, where are the therapists? Where are the body language experts? Where are the social workers? When this young woman appears on camera and she's telling her story, she's telling what happened in that fucking house, why are the professionals not sitting and listening? You know why? They don't give a fuck, because she's the wrong color. Now, if she was a white girl, oh yeah, they would pay attention. They would pay attention to this. Oh, they'd be writing down every note. I don't know how many people would be typewriting this shit down. I don't know how many people would be screenshotting. But because this is a Black woman, this happened to a Black family, nobody is covering it. And let's be honest, nobody's covering because nobody wants to be given the title or being thought of as criticizing this woman, her family, or how the Black community responds to certain things that happen in our community. And child abuse is one of those things. Child abuse led to the murder of these children. If you look at any case in the United States, any reported case in the United States, and you look at all the statistics of all the children who have been killed by their parents or any type of caretaker, usually before they kill these children, two different things happen. One, they're not feeding the children correctly. And two, they usually use physical discipline on these children. Those are the two pathways to child murder in this fucking country. And nobody is talking about it. High numbers of these cases, of the same cases happening in our community, in the Black community. And I was wondering why no one Black on the YouTube streets was saying anything about what this young woman was saying. Where's the therapists? Where's the social workers? Where's the experts? Where's the forensic scientists now? Where are the body language experts now? They're nowhere around because they don't want to know. They don't want, and they don't see what I see. If I'm seeing something, they should be able to see it too. Shout out to the chat. Well, anyway, I thank everyone for coming in. Mika, I just read your comment in the comment section, and it seems like you're the only one paying attention. It's you, Simset, and Tamika. Y'all the only people that's paying attention. I don't know if Uncle L is still paying attention. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like nobody gives a fuck. This is now I see why people in this sector don't do current events. I mean, it's not even 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm talking about something that's real, something that's happening in our community, and no one is participating. This is some fucked up shit. People would rather gossip about motherfuckers all fucking day and try to dox motherfuckers all fucking day, and and they'll get like lots of people to come into the chat and be talking and laughing and hitting the super chat, hitting the cash app and all this other craziness, and motherfuckers that really reporting on shit they don't want to pay attention to. They don't. That's crazy. That's crazy. But our community is full of dysfunction. It's full of dysfunction. It's full of dishonesty. It's full of pain, trauma, violence. And not only do women have to face the violence, sometimes very young victims. This woman killed 2 of her children, put them in the fucking freezer. The young lady in the video had to say how she felt every day walking past that fucking freezer. She lived it like that for 2 fucking years. Ain't no way in the world this shit hasn't touched the core essence of who she is. Who's to say this shit don't repeat itself another 20 years from now? Who's to say? And you can't convince me that all those people that's in that lady's family or that surround them, their neighbors or whoever, the school system, whoever, didn't realize that these children were missing. This woman was collecting government benefits. She was collecting food stamps and everything else because she was on welfare. And you mean to tell me none of the social workers ever showed up at that house? She never had an appointment to come to the DSS office to recertify her case? Somebody somewhere had to know something. And you know what? They got this no snitching policy. Fuck no snitching. If you see something, say fucking something. No, Mika, it wasn't just CPS. It was everyone. It was their fathers. It was their extended family members. It was the people in the community. They all failed these fucking kids. They all failed them. But what I'm saying, I'm not just talking about that particular case. I'm saying that she got two witnesses, two living witnesses to what happened before those bodies were discovered. She got an older child, a daughter. Her name is Gaby. Gaby is a very pretty young woman, smart young woman. But I'm just saying, I know it had to touch something deep down inside because this woman wasn't expressing certain emotions, nothing. It was like whatever her mother did, even though she tried not to let it affect her or bother her, it's a part of her. I'm saying a couple of years down the road, they're going to be following this woman around. When CPS gets your name for whatever reason, they follow you around. And it don't just be one generation. It'll be two, it'll be three. Let's follow this one family for 3 generations. Because somebody going to slip up and they're going to have children going to the fucking foster care system. That's what they do. They don't do it to they don't do it to white women. They do it to black women. Just think about what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm out of here. Y'all have an awesome day. Thank you for hitting the like button. You know what I mean? I guess if I was talking shit about somebody, everybody be, oh, yeah. They be supporting that. But I see how people is. Fuck it. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good one.